Hi everyone, this is K.R. Morrigan, and today I'm going to be talking about Starfighter by HamletMachine. Starfighter is an online webcomic. Right now it is 4 chapters. Each chapter is fairly long, and the 5th chapter is going to be the last chapter. Starfighter is a gay romance sci-fi story. It is 2 characters, Cain and Abel, who are part of what we can only assume is a branch of the military that is working in space to fight this type of alien called the Colterons. So first, to talk about the settings, our 2 main characters, Cain and Abel, are part of a branch of the military on this space station, so they spend the entirety of the story in space, in an enclosed area, with all the other characters. They do have their own ship that they use to fight aliens, but they don't actually ever land anywhere or explore any other planets or anything like that. The entire story is within the context of being on the space station, fighting aliens, coming back to the space station. So the author has to use a lot of creative ways to keep everything fresh, keep all of the story elements, and especially keep everything with the setting fresh. So you do know, based on information she gives throughout the story, that we are in the future, obviously, and while there is the planet Earth and people are still living on Earth, there's also a colony on Mars, and based on contextual evidence we get from the story, it seems like Mars was probably colonized by Russia, or at least has lots of Russian elements in the culture. In this story, this branch of the military is broken down into 2 major branches. The first is fighters, and the second is navigators. So every fighter is paired with a navigator to make a team. Cain is the fighter, and Abel is the navigator. The navigators are the ones who are responsible for flying the ship and maneuvering it into where it needs to be during combat, while the fighters are the ones who actually fire the torpedoes, or whatever it is, and actually attack the enemy. So, as I'm sure you can guess, a big part of the universe is that navigators and fighters have to be compatible, they have to train a lot together, they have to sort of have the same kind of mindset when it comes to fighting, and there's not really a true way to predict that. They just team them up and they practice a lot, and then they say, you know what, this isn't going to work, or they say, yeah, I think we're going to make a great team. So that plays a lot into the dynamic between fighters and navigators. Cain and Abel have a very unique kind of relationship. It isn't like other romance books I've read where they take a lot of time setting it up and it's like tenuous and they're like, oh, can we take this chance? Can we be in love? Blah, blah, blah. Literally, it's like within the first 20 pages, they're just like going at it. And I was like, yes, so into it. It was awesome. And as you learn, it's a little more complicated than that. I mean, of course, nothing simple, but the sex comes first and then the relationship develops. So I enjoyed Cain as a character because at first he seems just kind of like, oh, I'm Cain, I do what I want, I'm in charge. He's really like flashy and he likes to come into a room and be in charge and he likes to like lay down the law and let everybody know that he's the top dog, but he's not really like that. He's definitely more sensitive than that, deeper down, which is unsurprising, right? Because I don't think anybody can really be all bravado all the time. So as a character, you kind of expect for him to have some softer sides, and he definitely does. Abel, on the other hand, definitely compliments Cain because Abel is much more quiet and much more thoughtful. You know, there's a lot of panels where Cain is kind of like saying something and Abel is just kind of standing there listening. And it's not that he's necessarily passive, it's just he's more of a receptive character. You can tell that he likes to receive information and think about it and then act on it. That being said, he can be impulsive and he does have a very, very protective streak. They had a lot of communication about their relationship and what they wanted, and I don't know, the relationship develops really well. Like I said, even though they got into the sex right away, it wasn't like the relationship was superficial or based just on that. First of all, because they had to fight together as soldiers, but second of all, because like a true, deeper relationship really develops between the 2 of them as the story goes on. There are also a lot of side characters, which I really loved. You get to know some of them really well, especially through the relationships they have with the main characters. So there's a lot of side romances and love triangles and things like that, but also the characters each just have their own personalities and backstories and things that make them unique. No one character really like blends into the background. Everybody has a little something, and what she does really well is making time for everybody's backstory. So like I said, the comics, like each chapter is pretty long, but I still think she did a really great job like balancing the time out. So what happens is there's not really a ton of time spent focusing on like the battle and the fighting and things like that, which I think is a sign of what kind of audience she's targeting. But also I think what happens is that you don't need a lot of that because you get what's happening. You get, okay, they're fighting aliens in space, awesome. You know, but she spends all this time cultivating the relationships between all the different characters and really giving each of the characters like a goal and a desire in life. Also, there is, in addition to the comics, a game called Eclipse. Instead of doing a reading from the books, I'm going to be doing a Let's Play from Eclipse, so you'll get to see a little bit of the story there. But I think that story, since it does not revolve around Cain and Abel, it revolves around other characters, you get even more insight to all these different situations, and there's lots of threesomes, so that's pretty cool. So I talked a little bit about the setting, and I talked a little bit about the characters, and now I want to talk about the writing style that HamletMachine uses. You only get dialogue, and that's awesome, because every single line has two functions, basically. Like, she's consistently, I don't want to say killing two birds with one stone, she's consistently feeding two birds with one bowl. I love birds, I don't want to kill any of them. I'm a vegetarian. So when the character speaks, you're not just getting like the necessary plot or information, you're also getting who they are and like how they think of everything and how they say everything. And every single panel can be drawn from the viewpoint of something. So you can see what a character is seeing, and that way, like I said, you're not only getting like the physical information of like, okay, so-and-so sitting here and so-and-so sitting over here, but you get to see what are they focusing on, what are they seeing. And for a lot of characters, that plays a really huge role. Seeing through their eyes and seeing, okay, they see this, but they don't just see it, they see it this way. And like I said, the dialogue is like that too. Not just like, oh, they give this information, but like how they give it really says something about who they are. She utilizes a little bit of flashback. I wouldn't say it's a tremendous amount, but she does use flashback. I have mixed feelings about flashbacks. Sometimes I feel like they're unnecessary, but in this case, I thought that they were done well. And something that she does, like I said, really well throughout her writing, but especially in the flashbacks, is just like, you know, you get a couple panels and you have this whole backstory. There's especially these two characters where I feel like she does a flashback for them, and within just like one or two panels describing them, you have this whole idea of who they are and what the relationship together is and like what they've been through. And I just feel like that's so great because it shows on her side an ability to understand which scenes are most important to capitalize on to show a character. If you've never read any erotic comics before, I would definitely recommend you start here as opposed to starting with some of the more popular stereotypical yaoi manga, just because that can so often have so many negative stereotypes and basically non-consensual sex that is considered to be consensual. So if you've like never read any erotic art comics and you don't really know where to start, I would definitely recommend you start with Starfighter as opposed to some of the other ones, and then kind of see, like, use your judgment. So yeah, I would recommend it for any adult who likes gay erotica, and sci-fi. So if you like gay erotica, definitely read it. On her website, you can read the entire comic for free, but you can also purchase like paperback books of it, and you can purchase the game through her website as well. Please like this video and subscribe, and check back next Friday for another video about Starfighter. I will probably be doing a Let's Play of the game, and then after that I'll have a whole other book to review, so keep checking back and keep seeing what I'm doing. You can follow a link below to my blog and my Twitter and my Instagram account and my Tumblr, so you can follow me on all the social media. Let me know if you have any comments or questions below. Like I said, I'll link the webcomic so you'll be able to check it out there. Thank you so much for listening. Keep reading and keep loving. Bye.